This is my farm.
Don't come out here and tell me what I need.
I need solutions that work and market options that are worth my time.
Small town support that sees the bigger picture.
A global network that empowers us. A co-op that's there for us every day.
Thank you for joining us for our Agri-Pulse Washington Week in Review. I'm Spencer Chase, and we're joined this week by Senator Sherrod Brown, a Democrat from Ohio. And Senator Brown, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you, Spencer. Good to see Philip, too. Both of your little faces on my screen. So.
Right, yeah. As we were joking before we pressed record here, we're all becoming on-the-fly experts in video conferencing software here. But obviously, we want to discuss kind of the news of the day, the news of the week, really, and that is kind of almost in a forward-looking perspective, considering the potential for Senate action on future coronavirus relief, and that being, wondering what the Senate might do and what that might turn into here in terms of actual legislation. So obviously, Agri-Pulse being an ag and food policy publication, and you being a member of the Ag Committee, I want to get your thoughts on what you think is critical language that agriculture should be watching for as the Senate moves to consider potential coronavirus relief.
I think some are unique to agriculture, and others are unique to just the community you live in, whether you live in a fairly remote rural area or whether you live in you're a farm family closer to town in a smaller community, a small but fairly dense area. But wherever you live and whatever you do, or whether you live in an urban area, if we don't do this right as the economy opens, if we don't invest in local communities, local schools, local counties and villages and cities, we're going to see the economy continue to struggle. People have to know when they go back to work that it's safe. The customers need to know, for whether it's a restaurant or any other business, a movie theater, customers need to know they're going to be safe. That means we need to continue to scale up testing. And we have to have a particular focus too on agriculture. We know how many jobs that is. We also know, though, if we don't invest in local schools and local communities, cities and counties, that there will be there'll be another tidal wave of massive layoffs, and we'll never get the economy going, not to mention services that people need, whether it's police or fire, whether it's various rural development, whether it's investment in broadband. I know that both in education and in job development and ability to do your job, that the internet access, broadband is so important. Congress, this Ag Committee, this Senate has so underinvested there. So we need to do all of that in the next package. And my concern is that Mitch McConnell, the leader of the Senate, continues to he sees no urgency. They say he sees, his words, no urgency in doing something. If this economy goes deeper into a rut, it's going to be that much harder into that ditch. I grew up working on a family farm. I know when a hay wagon gets caught in a rut or in a ditch of some kind, how hard it is to pull it out sometimes. And the economy is not much different that way. We don't want that rut, that ditch to get deeper, and it will if we don't invest sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm. And as we look specifically at things, specifically at farm program spending, one of the things a number of ag groups, including the American Farm Bureau Federation, is pushing for is an increase in the Commodity Credit Corporation borrowing limit in upwards of $60 billion. And I wonder, is something like that a priority that you could support in future coronavirus relief? That level of funding increase in USDA's CCC borrowing authority?
It is, but it's part of a bigger picture. And one of the beauties, I've been on the Agriculture Committee. I'm first Ohioan in 60 years now to be on the Ag Committee. And I'm on that committee for two reasons. One, I know how important agriculture is to my state and to our country, of course. And second, I grew up working on a dairy farm, and I like those issues, as complicated as milk pricing is, that nobody can understand. But we milk Guernseys, and nobody milks Guernseys much anymore either, but that's beside the point. But I just think that we one of the great things about the Ag Committee, and one of the few committees in Congress like that, is we come together across regional differences, in spite of regional differences, party differences, ideological differences, and write a farm bill that pays attention to rural development, that pays attention to crops and to farms and to commodities, and pays attention to feeding hungry people. And we know that hunger is even a bigger problem during the pandemic as people have lost jobs and people are more isolated and all the things that happen. And we also know a whole lot of farm products are still not getting to people because of, that they're not selling to schools, they're not selling to hospitals, and all of those things that you obviously know about, Spencer. So it just seems to me, as we always did the farm bill, kind of reaching across all those differences, we should do the next round of coronavirus the same way, to sort of, in that sense, leave nobody behind. Farmers, consumers, others. There's no reason we can't do that. This farm bill, this next round, not a farm bill, but this next round should be more like a farm bill that we've passed, and work together across party differences and urban rural differences, and work across geographic expanses of the country.
Right, Senator. I wanted to shift a little bit to another subject that you've been very involved in for years throughout your career, and that's trade. A lot of uncertainty in the ag community and the broader economy in terms of China specifically. You've been an advocate of being tough on China. You've also been an advocate of using tariffs if necessary. But you've been critical of the president and his go-it-alone strategy in terms of China. Question is this, how long do these tariffs need to stay in place? So what would you advise a President Biden or a President Trump about that? Another way of putting it is, how long are farmers going to need to deal with these tariffs, or take one for the team as they feel like they've been doing?
That's a great question, Phil. You at the beginning of your question, Philip, you talked about uncertainty, and that's the biggest problem here. I mean, I of course, we're in a pandemic. There's uncertainty all the way around. There always is some uncertainty in an economy, but the uncertainty, government should do nothing. The president should do nothing to add to another layer of uncertainty, and that's what these tariffs have done. And you said the term "go it alone." I mean, I know what the president's done is he's done these tariffs and talk tough and say that China's given us money. They really aren't. It's our money through these tariffs that we're spending. So it's not a gift from China by a long shot. But we also know that these tariffs don't seem to be part of a bigger picture getting to a goal. I mean, I've believed in selective tariffs that are severe and temporary, but not go. You said going it alone too, and you want tariffs done selectively. Maybe severely is the wrong word. You want them done selectively. You want them done forcefully, but you want them to be temporary with a final goal in mind. I don't think the last part the president's thought through. I mean, he makes it up to farmers by taking dollars and going directly, giving it to farmers. Too often he's favored, as he does in his tax policy, the richest farmers at the expense of family farmers, and that's the wrong approach. So you don't do tariffs and then pay off the farmers, and that's simply what this president's done. You do tariffs that are selective and temporary with a game plan in mind, and I haven't seen what his game plan is. So I would advise this president, or I advise the next president, to tell us what the strategy is, tell us what you're going to do, show us it's temporary, show us what you're trying to get. Farmers want to compete. Farmers, I mean, we do have the most productive farmers in the world. We have the most productive workers in the world, and we see a continued situation on trade where there's all these incentives for companies to shut down production in Mansfield and Toledo and Canton, Ohio, move to China with the tax breaks, move to China for cheap labor, and then sell products back into the United States. That doesn't just hurt American workers, it hurts American farmers. And that policy, this president has continued, done nothing about that. In fact, he added to it when he gave the big tax cuts of 4 years ago, where 70% of the benefits went to the richest 1% in the largest corporations, with an additional incentive to move offshore. I mean, you produce in the United States, you pay essentially 21% tax rate as a corporation. You go to China, you pay half that. as an American company. And that's the most absurd kind of tax policy I can think of. So I want to see these tariffs work. I want them temporary. I want them to be done in a big way when necessary, but I want to know the plan with an end goal in mind. And we haven't seen that with these tariffs.
Well, how long is it going to take to see whether they work? And would you be prepared to see the president continue to make these market facilitation program payments to farmers so long as we have them in place?
Well, I don't like it. I mean, when you do the tariff like that with no end in sight and you hurt farmers, you got to do something to make it up to farmers. Although he hasn't really done that for workers that have lost their jobs. He's not done much to help those workers. He understands farmers mostly vote for him. And workers typically are less likely to vote for him. He understands that. I don't know if it's a political calculation, but I don't think you can just drift and drift and drift with, as you say, Phil, no predictability for month after month after month, where we keep these tariffs in place that don't seem to be having much of an impact on China trade and continue to pay farmers. I don't think farmers want to operate that way. The big guys might, because they're getting all kinds of corporate subsidies, but the small farmers getting it from both ends. Small farmers sees their tax dollars going to big farmers, and they see these tariffs as making it hard to sell their products. So I just think they really need to look at this from the bottom, and I would advise, I assume President Biden would listen more to me than President Trump would. But I don't know who President Trump listens to on these tariffs. But I just think we really need a real reexamination so that farmers can farm the way they want to and make the selection, what land they're going to farm, what they're going to grow, and how they're going to get it to market without all these sort of non-market forces beating up on them.
Well, Senator Brown, obviously a lot of issues going on, a lot of things unfolding in the broad scheme of American agriculture, a lot of things crossing your desk as a member of the Senate Agriculture Committee, and we appreciate you stopping by Agri-Pulse.com to discuss some of them with us here today. Thanks.
Good, substantive, solid questions. So thank you, and keep working with us. And for people in Ohio watching this, call on me on anything you need. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Spencer.
For Phil Brasher and Senator Brown, I'm Spencer Chase. Have a good one.